So now you know to drive on the left and the steering wheel's on the right, and not to go until you have the green and not the red and the amber. But we have some other advice that we wanted to pass on to you. So we're now in part 2 of our series of advice for Americans who are going to Britain for the first
For the
time.
first time.
So at the end of the first episode, or first part, we were talking about black cabs, which are predominantly found in London. And we know lots of people visit London as probably their first point of entry into the travelling around UK. But we wanted to mention that outside of the touristy things, there are other options for you.
Yes, the majority of museums and I think art galleries in London are free to the public. So to make your money go further, because it's going to be expensive there, I would guess, it's worth considering those. I would say the natural history, the science, and the V&A are all very close together in South Kensington. One tube station services the three.
Yeah, that's the Victoria and Albert Museum.
Yeah, sorry.
V&A.
And I mean, who doesn't want to see animatronic feathered dinosaurs? It's a big crowd puller for kids. There's other things like the Imperial War Museum, Maritime Museum now at Greenwich. But basically, anything that you're interested in, you will find a museum dedicated to it in London, I would guess.
Yeah.
And same with the art galleries. You know, there's portraiture, there's landscapes, there's modern art at Tate Modern. So anything you're into, you can probably get in and see.
Yeah. So like you said, cheaper alternatives to some of the big things.
Just thinking on that as well, if the weather's nice, there's the parks.
Exactly.
Parks are free.
Yeah, St James's Park. If you go at the right time of day, you might be able to feed the sparrows or the pigeons.
Yeah. Regent's Park, which has its zoo, and Hyde Park as well, which is very, very central.
Yeah, so don't forget about the free stuff that you can do as well. So, speaking about London in a bit more detail, we also wanted to put in a pitch for the rest. Try to, if you can, go further afield than London.
Yeah. This is one thing that when people ask us, what do we see, they seem to think to concentrate on London, don't they? But there's so much more to see outside of the capital. And it depends if you're on a time limit.
Yeah.
You need to find the things that you want to focus on. If you want to focus on history, you want to focus on the countryside. I mean, I think this is a video on its own, really.
Yeah, I think we have come up with quite a lot of suggestions.
Yeah.
In the past, when people have asked, and we've had friends, for example, English teachers wanting to know about more literary places. So I think we're going to put together a video specifically on sort of maybe 6 or 7 type of sort of concentrations of maybe architecture, or engineering, or science, or countryside
that are outside of London.
That we would recommend. So moving back to our advice just in general for the whole of UK, one is tipping.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't mean like falling over, tipping. Although they have this thing about tipping cows, don't they? But I digress.
I think the reverse when we first, well, not for you, but for me, when we first came to, the first time I came to America, was the tipping culture is a bit of a shock. This was back in the 1990s. And so I think Americans going to the UK and Europe, I'd say as well, will be shocked by the fact that you're not expected to tip. It is not a thing that is. I mean, if you receive exceptional service from someone, there's nothing.
Yes.
Or if you're in a pub and you say, "Oh, get one for yourself," that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's not
like it's not the norm, is it?
Yeah, in the US, it kind of makes up the shortfall in their salary, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. But in the UK and Europe, they're paid a decent wage, so you don't need to, like that need as it is over here in the US is not there. But again, like, you are free to do it if you choose to, but it's not obligatory.
I'm trying to think, is there any kind of thing where you would always give a tip?
I mean, I think it's still
hairdressers. Did you tip your hairdresser?
Yeah, again, but it's subject to your choice. Like, they're not expecting it, but I would say similar thing, like if you're getting like a valet
Oh
parking.
yeah, valet parking, I would say.
Or if somebody like a porter's carrying your bags up to your room. I think that's still
Yeah.
kind of, expected,
yeah.
but it's not like, as you said, mostly it's the restaurant and eating out and things
Yeah.
like that.
Oh,
So,
talking of tipping, what would you give them?
Right. Yeah, this is one that Paul actually brought up because it completely out of my mind. So you can talk about this one.
One thing I've noticed, certainly with my students and with other people, is they're not sure what the currency is. Many people assume that it's the euro that they need to get before going to Britain, but it's in fact British pounds. It's a decimal system, same as the American system. It's just the wording's a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
There are pound notes, not pound notes.
They're not pound notes anymore.
There are note currency,
notes. Yes.
But there haven't been pound notes since the 1980s.
I think what it means is that we have paper money.
Yeah.
But the difference is that our paper money has different sizes.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
And different colours.
And different colours. So it's not the same as in the US. All of the bills are exactly the same size and shape, aren't they?
Yeah.
Not so. They used to be pound notes that they went out a while ago, but now there are £1 and £2 coins, aren't there?
Yeah.
So there's a lot more coinage, I would say, which can be heavier on the pocket.
Yeah. Now, the thing you may notice, especially if you're travelling around the UK, is they issue their own banknotes in places like Scotland and Northern Ireland. And if you go to the Isle of Man or the Channel Islands, Jersey has its own sets of currency. But it is all legal tender within the UK because they're all part of the UK. And so if you go to Glasgow and you end up being given some Scottish £5 notes, you can still spend them. Don't be put off by people saying they won't accept them. They have to accept them.
Yeah, just because they don't recognise them doesn't make it legal.
Yeah.
They're made legal. And if you really have a major problem, all banks have to exchange them anyway, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But I know that the branches are disappearing, aren't they?
Now, if you are using your money in a shop to buy things, what would you need to put your things into?
Yeah, shopping bags. So this is something I don't necessarily mean shopping bags in clothing stores and things like that.
No,
it's more
general
groceries. And if you go to maybe like a corner shop or something like that, Marks and Spencer's, for example, and their food, food hall is lovely. Anyway, the UK got rid of plastic bags probably a long time ago now. So you now have to pay for a bag. And I mean, that can vary. I think last time we were there, they were, 10p?
It was between 5 and 10p, I think.
So it's probably a good idea to have a bag with you. So you can get these bags that kind of just fold in on themselves and you can clip them on with a little, what do you call those things? Carabiner or whatever it is, to your bag, or if they can fit in your pocket, because you will be charged for bags. Now, if you are charged for a bag, you probably will get quite a decent one that you could reuse. So if you didn't have one to begin with, then you see it as an investment in getting a decent shopping bag, but then you can fold it up and just keep it with you and reuse it over and over again, because you will not automatically be given. I think even if you are in certain stores, they will ask you if you even want a bag. Yeah, like if you're just buying a few little things, they might not even offer a bag to you.
And thinking about this, it might be, if you are a person that shops at Whole Foods, it might be worthwhile, or Earth Fare.
Yeah.
Might be worthwhile if you're going on holiday to the UK and you buy their shopping bags.
Take them with you.
Because you get discounts, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
So it's worth it.
So moving on to another place that you're probably really going to be going to if you're visiting, and that's restaurants. There are lots of different types of restaurants. I mean, pubs as well. I would count this in the same group.
Yeah.
There are a few differences that we wanted to make mention so that you're not like shocked or worried about something. One I always talk about to people who ask me is that the menus are far more descriptive in the UK. So I've got an example. You want to read that for us?
Classic fish and chips, freshly battered cod or haddock, fried until crispy and golden, served with thick-cut chips, mushy peas, and a side of tangy tartar sauce, served with a lemon and a sprinkle of malt vinegar, complete this British classic.
See, a lot more description goes into it. So they're telling you is that really everything that you're going to get, rather than just saying, fish and chips, you're going to get all of that. But because they go through this whole process, the chefs, they don't really like you to change things out.
Yes, that's something that we've only been introduced to since we moved to America, is changing things out for something else on the menu. And when you first arrive here, you're a bit reticent about that, but we'll talk about that when we're doing our reverse video later on.
Now, I'm just saying that, for people who would just want to like mix up the meal, they do allow, obviously, if you have a food intolerance or an allergy, they're not going to make you eat a peanut or anything like that. There will be alternatives.
You will drink the milk.
There will be alternatives for you, but I'm just saying that, they, as I said, as a process, the chefs go through this whole system of like, we paired all of these things together.
Yeah.
We're not really going to change it just because you want to.
Yeah. The other thing that's different as well is the terminology when it comes to the little thing you have before the big thing you eat.
So yes, what in the US may be called an appetizer will be called a starter.
Yeah.
In a fancy restaurant, it'll be an hors d'oeuvre.
Ooh, oofers doofers. Yeah.
And then an entree in the US is a main course.
Yeah.
And then desserts are desserts, aren't they?
Or pudding.
Or pudding, yeah. So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
Portion sizes are probably going to be smaller than what you may be used to in the US as well.
Yeah, but it'll be tastier.
Yes. But I think that one of the big things is coming to pay for a meal with a credit card. Now, in the US, they kind of take your card, but they don't do that in the UK. What they do is they'll bring like a little pay device over to the desk, over to the table.
Still on school mode there, dear.
And what they do is they put the card in and they will put in obviously the costs, won't they? But then they kind of hand it to you to put in a PIN number.
Yes. Now, in the US, you'll be familiar with chip and PIN when you're paying for things with a debit card. But you don't do that with a credit card here.
No.
But you do that with a credit card in the UK. But if you have an American credit card, if you explain to them the situation, and I'm not sure now because we've not paid with.
Yeah, there may be the tap thing may have come in since because
if it's tap and pay, which I think came out there before here.
Yeah.
That might have gone by the by.
But
tell us if you're in the UK and you're watching this, do you still have to put your PIN number in when you're paying for a meal, and then we'll pass it on in our next video.
All we'll say is that if you just let them know it's an American credit card, and they usually know what to do. And in the past, what's happened is they'll print a receipt and you have to sign for it. But just be aware that they'll come to you with a device. They're not going to take the card away.
Which might mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to get some clarification on this because the tap to pay, I don't know if you do that. Let us know.
Yeah.
If you say paying for petrol at a petrol station in the UK, whether you can tap and pay, because if that's the case,
I think that the last time we were in the UK, which was what 2022, we didn't actually have cards that did the tap thing. So
not credit cards, no.
Yeah, so we haven't tried that. So as Paul says, let us know in the comments if it's all transitioned over into tap now.
Yeah, because that'll make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
So if you have hired a car in the UK and you visit to the UK and you get to your hotel at your destination, you might find that there is no valet parking, which seems to be a common thing here. Mm-hmm. Valet parking, I don't remember having in the UK, apart from there's some fancy hotels. Yeah. So you'll have to probably park your own car. Having said that, the hotel will probably have its own car park.
It will have a parking option for you. Yeah.
And as for parking elsewhere, I'd say predominantly it's a system called pay and display. So you would go to a machine, get a ticket, and put it on your windscreen, visible, so that they know what time your vehicle got in there. And I don't think that's changed that much since we were there last.
I just will say that we noticed the last time we were over and we visited my sister that if you are not staying at a hotel and you still want to park a vehicle, you have to pay.
Yeah.
If you're staying at the hotel, you don't have to pay. But if you aren't staying, but you're just visiting, or like, you know, you're going to, like, we've had people come to the restaurant and have dinner with us
Yeah.
before we head back again
Yeah.
to the US. They have to pay for the parking, but you don't if you're staying at the hotel.
Yeah, usually it's a
Yeah.
freebie when you stay, isn't it?
I will also say one more thing about parking. It just came to me. In the UK, we have these things called multi-story car parks.
Yeah.
They do exist in the US, but they're not called multi-story car parks. They're called parking decks.
Parking decks, yeah.
So just be aware, if you're looking, if you see signs for a multi-story car park, it's a parking
Yeah.
deck. It's one of those where you take a ticket, the barrier gets raised, and on all that business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And while we're on about hotels slightly, we did mention before in our previous video about the socket situation in bathrooms, didn't we? In the UK, for safety measures, you don't have the same power outlets in a bathroom that you would have in a US bathroom.
Yes.
The only one that would be there would be like the sort of two-prong thing you'd need for a shaver or for electric toothbrush.
Yes, yes. So you would not be able to plug your hairdryer in the bathroom. You would have to do that in a separate room because there will not be a socket for that.
And I'm not sure about the light switch situation. It's whether it's on the outside.
Yeah, he seemed to be obsessed about this. I'm not sure what he's talking about.
No, it's a safety thing, isn't
We'll
it?
update you on that.
Anyway, we'll catch up on that later.
Go back to your favourite subject.
Oh, pubs. Oh, what did we say?
About ordering in a pub.
Yes. So if you are going into a pub and you're not just drinking and going up to the bar and ordering your drink, if you're wanting food, the usual method is you'll go in, sit down, and instead of having them come over to you and serve you like you would in an American bar, you have to take the number of your table that you sat at and go to the bar, order the food, and they'll bring the food over to you then.
I mean, there are some places, if they are like a gastropub, like they really are a restaurant and a pub, as opposed to a pub that serves restaurant. There is a difference. So some of them, if they have like a specific restaurant wing to them, I get what I'm talking about, isn't it? They will serve you, like the Wagoners, they serve you at the table.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But if it is a pub that just happens to serve food as well, they mostly have the numbers on the table and you go up and order at the bar.
Yeah, but if you're just going in for a drink, you go to the bar, get your drink, and then find a table.
Yeah.
Sit down.
So then, obviously, you have to pay for these things.
Indeed, you do. It's not free. It's not all free, you know.
So what we wanted to mention is that the price you see is the price you pay.
Yeah. Threw me a great deal. First time I came to America back in the 1990s. Saw something in a store, got it, went to the counter, and suddenly the price has gone up between me picking it up and paying for it. That's incredible inflation, or it was sales tax, which I've never encountered before.
Yeah.
So in the UK, when you buy something, that's the price. It's the price that you see on it. There's nothing added when you get to the till.
The tax has already been put into the price, so you don't. There's nothing more once you go to the till to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a recent change that we wanted to mention, didn't we? That now, as of January 2025, you now have to fill out an ETA.
ETA. It's not estimated time of arrival. It's electronic travel authorization. To check then what the A stood for.
So if you are like a Brit who's come to America in the past, you'd have to fill out an ESTA. So this is something that
like the reverse
has been around for a while. So, but I think Europe have introduced one, which kind of then prompted the UK to introduce one as well.
Yeah, it's a kind of tourist visa.
Yeah,
and I think
it's supposed to speed up the process of going through passport control. I believe.
Now you pay for it online in advance. It's £10, which is around about $12.
$13. Yeah.
And you're good then to spend 6 months in the UK.
Yeah, and it's valid for 2 years. So if you're going to travel and go back again within 2 years, you don't have to get another one. You're good for 2 years.
Because the reverse was the same coming here. The US thing, the US do a thing called an ESTA.
Yeah.
But I think that's only 3 months, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think anyway.
And then the last thing we really talk about really is the British perception of Americans.
Yeah.
So
Now we have to be very diplomatic here because we're still living in America right now. So you can take this one. You can feel this one.
yeah, no, it's just I'm American from birth, so I have lived in the UK as an American, and there are two main things really, or two different things. One, you're either going to be loved because some people love America and they want to know all about it, or you're going to start to get blamed for a lot of things, which starts out in jest. I do believe it's it's just good nature,
bit of banter.
But sometimes, in my experience, it has descended into like, oh yeah, it was me. I shot JFK on that grassy knoll. I'm to blame for everything that America is responsible for because I'm the only American in the room.
Yeah.
So I would just proceed with a bit of caution. They're either going to love you or they're going to hate you a little bit.
So when in doubt, tell them you're Canadian.
Okay, so please, if we have missed any advice that you think first-time Americans, well, not first-time Americans, but Americans coming to the UK for the first time should know about, then please let us know in the comments. Or if we have made a mistake, like we haven't lived in the UK for a while, as we said, we've not been back since 2022. So things can change and do change. So please, if we need updating things, if we need to put in a little disclaimer that we made a bit of a mistake on something, let us know.
I'd also say if there's some specific area you'd like to focus on, we're thinking of another video where we can show you literary destinations or scenic destinations, but that's something that's in the works right now. If there's a particular area you're interested in visiting, drop us a line and we'll get back to you with our ideas.
Yes, definitely. So please make sure you give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Subscribe, because as we said, we are going to now do a companion set of videos for the British people who may be coming to the United States for the very first time.
That's right.
Our advice for you guys to come. Well, in the meantime, have a cup of tea.
And maybe a biscuit.
Yeah, you probably think we eat loads and loads of biscuits, and you are completely right. We do.
So take care, and we'll see you again soon.
Cheers.
Bye for now.